Hi, this is Dan O'Leary, your Washington Township supervisor, and I'm standing across the street from the Kirkway apartment development that was recently featured in my opponent's video. He bemoaned the state of development in Washington Township and said he's going to do it differently and not allow rezonings. He didn't tell you the whole truth. I'm going to tell you the truth, and I hope you'll stay with me for a few minutes to hear it.
Every town is required to have a master plan which says how the town will develop over time. It lays out where residential will be located, where commercial will be located, where industrial will be located, and so on. Each town also has a zoning map which says what the current designation for a parcel is. And it has a land use plan which shows what the master plan says is its future intended use. In order to get to its future intended use, a parcel would need to be rezoned from its current zoning to what the future intended use is under the master plan. When you hear about a property being rezoned, that doesn't mean we are violating the master plan. It simply means we are moving a property from what it is currently zoned to what the master plan is. In fact, we cannot unjustifiably deny a landowner from rezoning their parcel from its current zoning to its master planned use. It's their right by law. We can only deny rezonings that are inconsistent with the master plan. So when my opponent says he won't approve rezonings, he is promising something he cannot legally deliver. He's not being honest with you. At the south end of town, you see the purple area that's defined as our village district. That's where we intend to have light commercial, office space, restaurants, and some multifamily. It's intended to be our more dense part of town, and you're seeing that density develop right now. That plan has been in place for decades. It's not new. But our plan does call for decreasing residential density as you move to the east, to the west, and to the north. As a result of that, even at full development, our town will be less dense than the towns to the south of us. And this is contributing to our high quality of life and our very high property values here in Washington Township.
Keep in mind that this district, from 26 Mile to the campground intersection on Van Dyke, is our high-density downtown district. That's where your restaurants, your small commercial, your multifamily, your office space, that's where it's supposed to be. That's what's going on here. So when someone decries that, like my opponent did, he's not complaining about my leadership. He's complaining about the master plan, and he just doesn't realize it. So back to Kirkway. You know, this didn't go through the normal planning process from the township. This was actually the settlement of a lawsuit. That settlement occurred in 2002. That was several years before I even moved into town, let alone became your township supervisor, and yet my opponent laid the development at my feet. I'm standing here next to the Bar Verona restaurant outside of the Newberry development that was also featured in many of the conversations of my opponent. Let's be clear, this development actually met the master plan. Remember, this district is the high-density district part of town, and this is high density, whether you like it or not. This met the master plan. There was no inappropriate rezonings that went on here at Newberry. I'm standing outside the Autumn Creek development that's at Campground and Van Dyke. This one's gotten a lot of attention from people too. This one is going to be townhomes and single-family homes. And this is going to be 30% less units than the master plan allows for. Now keep in mind, this district is supposed to be your high density district. But when this one got approved, we approved it at 30% less density than the master plan otherwise would have allowed for. Okay, now we're outside of the village district, the high density district per the master plan. And we're at 26 and Hayes where the Redwood apartments are going in. A lot of people complained about this. And here's what I need you to understand. This too was a litigation settlement in the 1990s. They just didn't build it until now. And when they finally got around to building it, they built it with less density than was authorized by the litigation settlement back in the 1990s. But nobody bothers to tell you that. So here's what you need to start asking yourself. Do these challengers for the board who are running around together causing so much misinformation, do they have the legal authority to do anything differently than I have done in planning for the last 12 years? And the answer is no. If something matches the master plan, they have to award it just like I do. They cannot violate anyone's rights any more than I do. The second thing you have to ask yourself is, are these people who would bother to reduce density and development in our community? And the answer is, my opponent is married into a major construction family. The treasurer candidate that he supports is a builder. One of their trustee candidates is a developer. And the other ones are largely backed by or are builders or developers. So when you start hearing people say these things, keep in mind, people say a lot of things as wolves in sheep's clothing, trying to get elected. You need to be informed so you know what's really going on.
You know, one of the things that disturbs me about this entire conversation is that it makes some people who live in apartments and some of the condos in our community, like Glacier Club and Timber Mill and Enclave, or even in some of the manufactured homes in our community, feel like they're not a part of this community. Like the only thing we will allow are $1-million mansions. You know, by law, we are required to have all kinds of living in our community. We can't have just a certain kind. And we wouldn't want that. You know, people have families who are all of different kinds of social economic backgrounds. We want everybody to be here. You know, we just want it to be nice. We want the infrastructure to be right. You know, with that in mind, I do have some concerns about our master plan. And even though my opponents could do no differently than me in terms of honoring the master plan without violating the law, there are some changes we could potentially make to the master plan. Back in January, before anyone declared for office, I requested of my board the right to do a sewer study. Why? Because in my theory, if all of this development that is allowed for under the master plan winds up being too much and overwhelms our sewer capacity, we would have to extend the sewer and expand the capacity in order to accommodate it, and we shouldn't have to do that. So it's my theory that if we can prove that the sewer capacity is not there, we may be able to hold public hearings and open up the master plan to public review again and shave some of the density off of the non-developed parcels so that when they are developed, they can be developed with less density than the master plan would allow for today. Again, we're honoring the master plan. 12 years and we have not approved a single residential development that didn't meet the master plan here under my administration. But that doesn't mean we can't make things better. We should always strive to make things better. So we're doing that study. Hopefully that sewer study will be done by the fall, and then it'll take some time to do the public hearings at the Planning Commission level to make things, you know, appear in our master plan so that we can start enacting it. That's the right legal way to deal with a perceived or real problem. Not by going around denigrating people of different home styles and that sort of thing. That's not helpful to our community. And spreading misinformation and all that, that's not helpful to our community. We are an amazing place, and that's what the master plan is all about. It's about creating an amazing place for all of us to live and enjoy. And if you haven't noticed, Washington is that place. We got the highest home values. We got great amenities to enjoy here. Just a beautiful environment. That's what the master plan is all about. Doesn't mean we can't make it better, but we should do so in a legal way. These are the kinds of debates and discussions I really hope we'll have at a debate so the public can see what I propose versus what my opponent proposes. So far he's declined to be at a debate, but let's see how it goes. Maybe we'll have this discussion publicly the way we're supposed to. In the meantime, if you have any questions about development going on, you hear people denigrating what's been happening, give me a call and we'll talk about it. I'm Dan O'Leary, your Township Supervisor, hoping for your vote August 4th.